Welcome to WFUV Sports' preseason Brooklyn Nets preview, the 2025-2026 Brooklyn Nets preview. I'm Chris Carino on the Brooklyn Net Beat Report, WFUV Sports' Brooklyn Net Beat Report, joined by my other peers joining me on the Beat Report this year as well, Alex Diaz, Kurt Sipple. Kurt returning from last year's Net Beat Report. Alex getting her first crack at it this season. She'll be at opening night on Friday. I want to start there, Alex. Nets are in action tomorrow night. They'll be in Charlotte to open up the season, but you'll be there covering their first home game on Friday. Can you just talk about, not even from a net perspective, but just a personal perspective, what it'll be like covering an NBA game and just the kind of things you might be looking out for in this first game?
Yeah, I'm excited to be there. It'll be my first NBA game ever. I got to do the W over the summer, so I feel like this is a good stepping stone. I love going to Barclays. I think the environment there is absolutely incredible, and I'm excited to see especially a young team and see how they step into the spotlight in their first game at Barclays. Is
she going to be disappointed going to net games after being in that Liberty environment for these last couple months?
I think that you'll still get
it's pretty rowdy, those Liberty
crowds.
They
are very rowdy, but I think you'll get the same amount of fans. I just don't know how loud they will be at this point. They would definitely be sold out buildings like last year.
And I have a general sort of convo I want to have about the fans and the fans that show up to games specifically, but we'll save that for a little bit later. Alex, train, I'm assuming subway we're taking?
Yeah.
D-train is usually the most efficient from here, right?
You can get there.
I would assume it's going to be a pretty good crowd tomorrow night. We were looking at tickets before the podcast started. It seemed relatively expensive. Seems like a pretty pivotal time for the Net organization, regardless of their success. It seems like Net fans should be excited about this. Kurt, I'll give it to you. What are just the general feelings coming up for you heading into this new season?
Well, it feels now that the Nets are starting to build towards something, and I know me and you, Chris, and Alex, like you can see that the Nets haven't really had a direction of sorts for a very long time after they had the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden fiasco happen. Yeah. And then you get back Mikal Bridges, you think that you're competing for a playoff spot, and then that doesn't really work out for very long. So now it feels like the Nets are finally building towards something. You have a young core. It looks like that you're ready to start playing with some poise and start developing people. You have Jordi Fernandez as your new head coach, a guy that showed you last year is very, very good at what he does and a good leader. You now have new veterans as well, Tarrence Mann. You have Michael Porter Jr., guys who have been around the NBA for a while, especially Net veterans that are also around the NBA for a while, Nick Claxton, and you have Tyrese Martin and other people like that. Not Tyrese Martin, I'm just talking Day'Ron Sharpe and people like that that have been around the Nets for quite a while, that know.
Love Tyrese as well.
Yes, but that know.
Pescatarian, did you know that?
Really?
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of, I think I saw that on Instagram.
They were asking them how their steaks were cooked. A lot of medium well as well, thank God. I get a lot of smoke for my medium well.
Medium well is not a way to eat a steak, Chris.
You're not.
Sorry.
I mean, all right. I'm not going to say anything meaner. Go
on. But either way, I think that it's building towards something. There's new guys on the floor that are going to help a lot out with the rookies. And yeah, I think this is an exciting time to be a Brooklyn Nets fan, and it's an exciting time for us to be reporters and see this pivotal season for the Nets, because this is a direction season.
Right, and you find yourself from the perspective, you're a Brooklyn Net fan.
Yes.
I find myself to be, from growing up, obviously we put more biases aside as we head into the B Report, but I find myself as a Net fan. I grew up a New Jersey Net fan, obviously did the switch into Brooklyn. You found yourself falling in love with this team as they made that switch. Alex, you're more sort of on the outside as, from those two perspectives. Looking at this team, a lot has been said around the league about this Net team and, the lack thereof of this Net team. From a more outsider perspective, can you talk about maybe how this team may overachieve in some people's eyes this season?
Yeah, I think there's definitely reasons why this team can be a lot better than what we're seeing. You look at their 5 rookies that they drafted. I think it's a bold class, and it screams the fact that, well, this might be a year that they're rebuilding. Technically, I think there's a lot of ambition behind that, and I think that there's a long way that they can go. And I think when you look at those rookies, they picked not just for talent, but for the fact that this is a future. They're trying to build a future in Brooklyn, and this team is very versatile, which I think will be huge for them. They're not the biggest team in the league, which I think is obvious, but I think that they're going to use their abilities and their maybe scrappiness, which I think we'll see on defense from them a lot, and make that their way of having an identity in this league. This Nets team, I feel like, is poised to figure out what their identity is going to be without outside sources saying this is who they are. I think you'll see once they step on the court together what that'll look like, but I think that there's ways to go for this Nets team. But honestly, I feel like the sky could be the limit for them, honestly. A lot of people saying they're not going to have a great season, but until all of them step on the court together, until the chemistry is fully brought together, I think you'll be hard pressed to say that this team doesn't belong. I'll say midway through the NBA. I think that's where they'll wind up by the end of the season, is probably in the middle of the pack there.
Yeah, Alex, I agree. I don't think this is a bottom of the barrel team by any means. And even to your point about waiting for them to step out on the floor together, we saw it in Toronto a few nights ago. Really good games from Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr., 34 points in that one, 12 for 20 from the field. Scotty Barnes for Toronto, good in that one as well. But you start to see it with just them out on the floor. You alluded to it, and it's something we obviously are going to get to, the 5 first-round picks this season. Sean Marks goes into the draft in the summer with 5 first-round picks. I think a lot of people didn't expect him to use all 5.
I know I didn't.
I think a lot of people thought at least 1 or 2 of them would be used for draft capital. He decides to draft all 5. Jaeger Joman, first lottery pick in net history since Derek Favors. That was in 2011. Wow, that was 15 years ago.
I know.
And then after that, Nolan Traore, Drake Powell, Ben Saroff, and Danny Wolf. Danny rounds out that 5 first-round picks they choose. My logic has been from the beginning, from covering it. I was there at Barclays when they made the picks. For me, if you know 5 guys, if you know out of 5 guys, 2 or 3 are going to be stars, why not draft all 5 if you have the capital? Maybe that's too simple of logic. Kurt, is that the logic you're under as well? Did you think of it as maybe inconsiderate, irresponsible?
I think
those are the words that have been thrown around this offseason.
I think now what it looks like is that the Nets are trying to find their future guys, and it doesn't matter how many you're going to have. You have 5 guys to pick from now.
Yeah.
They're all 5 good. You keep all 5. You have long-term contracts that you can keep guys under that won't take a hit to your salary cap if all 5 of them are good. If 2 of them are good, if 1 of them are good, I still deem it as a success in the matter of you found a guy for the future as well. You know, what are you trading now? Are you trading for success? Are you trading for more draft capital? Because that's what it's looking like if that's the case. Because if you're going to trade another, let's say you use 2 first-round picks, what are you doing with the other 3? Are you trading for a bigger name player? Why are you doing that if you want to compete but not compete at a higher level this year? You know what I mean?
And this is the argument Sean made around the draft. If I have the 8th pick and I like Jaeger Joman more than I like Ace Bailey, why would I trade up and give things away to get a guy I like less? Like, just on a basic logic
It's just
level.
a name.
Obviously,
It's
the
just a
public
name.
thinks Ace is a better player than Jaeger, but Sean Marks, who's paid to do this, by the way, and travels with these guys around the country for the full year, if he thinks Jaegor's better, why are Net fans in their head, why didn't he give up assets to get the player he likes less? What? That doesn't make any sense to me. And even under the logic similar to what you were saying of Ben Saroff, Jaeger Joman, Nolan Traore, one of these guys is the guard of the future. Why not draft all 5? If you think one of them is the guard of the future, or all 3, if you think one of them is the guard of the future, yeah, you may have the other 2 as well, but you're at least guaranteeing you're at least getting your guy. I think that's what Sean was doing from a lot of perspectives. We could talk about how this roster is configured as well. 5 rookies, as we've talked about, that's unprecedented. No team has ever taken 5 first-rounders in the draft before. But then players like Michael Porter Jr. are on this roster as well. I saw Bill Simmons say earlier this week that this roster is Jordy-proofed, meaning there isn't a lot of room for overachievers on this roster. There's not the Keon Johnson. There's not a Dennis Schroeder sort of role where the guy can really overachieve and maybe win this team games when they don't want to. MPJ, I think, is very interesting. Alex, what do you think about the Porter signing or the Porter move to get him, getting rid of Cam Johnson, and what's his role look like this season? Obviously different than what it was in Denver last year.
Yeah, I think you're looking for him to be a huge asset to this team. I think part of it is bringing him here is that's your veteran leadership. You're on a team with a lot of young guys. That's the guy you're looking for. I think you need to look to him to be an all-around player this year. You need to see him play well on defense. You need to see him hit shots when they need it. And I think you'll see that more when it comes to being on the court with the rest of that team, figuring out what makes sense for the Nets when it comes to him.
Kurt, in Toronto the other night, Zaire Williams, 20 points off the bench. 4 for 8 from 3, 8 for 14 from the field. He gets re-signed in the offseason. A lot of people had a lot of positive things to say about Zaire Williams last year. I was one of them. I'm one of the guys who said that this he is a piece toward whatever the final goal for this net team is. Can you talk about Zaire, how important it is for him to still be around now?
Zaire has been such an important piece of this Nets team, as well as last year just being such an important piece in general to this Nets organization. I feel like he's been improving his game when he got to Brooklyn. I mean, look at his three-point percentage, 4 points higher than it's been any other time when he was with the Grizzlies. And I think that's because, one, they're allowing him to play a different kind of game that he's not bogged down by, and you're seeing him unlock different aspects of his game that have been so important and so transcendent with the Nets this year, that I feel like he is a guy that you are going to build around for the future because he's so good, and he's another piece that you have, another guy who has been around the league for maybe not so long, but he's been around the league for 4 or 5 seasons, and he will be a great addition to the guard of the future. Like you were saying before, you already have your centers. You'll be great additions to that roster when you start building towards maybe a championship team. He is a guy that will compete in a starting lineup off the bench. He is that guy, and he does those great things for the Nets that he will continue to do this season as well.
Yeah, Tarrence Mann, another acquisition kind of flying under the radar as well. He started in that game in Toronto earlier in the week. I brought up Yegor briefly, talking about the rookies. Yegor Joman, the first lottery pick this net team has chosen in the Sean Marks era, but since 2011, that was Derek Favors. Derek Favors ended up having a pretty successful career for himself in Utah, ends up getting traded for Darren Williams, who starts the run of success in Brooklyn. But this net team, from a fan perspective, hasn't had a young lottery player to seek their teeth into since Derek Favors. There's obviously been Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Joe Johnson. There's been stars since then, but nobody that's truly been drafted and bred in the net organization as a star with all that expectation of a lottery pick. Alex, I'll give it to you. The perspective I'm coming under is you have superstars, you have guys who decide to make the switch to jump on board, but there has to be a difference when it's a lottery pick, a player coming from college that is starting his journey with the Nets and has this high expectation with such young of an age.
Yeah, I think anytime you're a lottery pick, anything like that, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you anyways, but I think in general there's a lot of pressure on this rookie group altogether. I think obviously a lot of pressure on him, but if you look at the player that he was, he's really good in pick and roll situations, something that the Nets need to use more of. He can finish below the basket, which I think, again, they need. And then he's just an all-around player when you look at perimeter shooting, all of that stuff. So I think while there's a lot of expectations for him, I feel like just looking at interviews and all of that, I feel like he's settled into being in Brooklyn really well, and I hope that helps him to some extent. And I think
he's so likable in those interviews.
He's very much somebody that I feel like Nets fans have already came behind. They've bought into him fully, and I think that'll only help him. But I think it'll also come down to how well he gels with the veterans. It's not just about the rookies, just because I feel like they'll probably help him the most in that transition.
Yeah, definitely. And this team has veterans, guys that have been around between Claxton, Michael Porter Jr., Terrence Mann, Cam Thomas. There is vets on this roster for how young it is and the size that Alex was alluding at earlier as well. There's some size when you think of Clax, when you think of Dayron. Noah Clowney has gained a lot of weight this offseason. I mean, Kurt saw it at Media Day. So there is maybe a slight difference there with more mass, but it is still a smaller roster for the most part. I love the personality stuff there, Alex, because I think that's truly important for Sean and Josiah and the rest of this organization, getting guys who they want to be around the building with. You know, I think, not to say that KD and Kyrie were, a certain way with their personalities or anything like that, but I think there's a certain humility that comes with these young guys from the draft that maybe isn't there in these superstars that you acquire for max contracts in the offseason. There just seems to be a difference there. And it seems, to our point we made before the pod, before we came on, that there's a clear direction now, Kurt, with this team that maybe wasn't there last year.
I agree. I think that, one, it's the personalities of these guys that have looked, even to the media, I'll be honest, I think the entirety of the roster right now, all of the guys I've heard from in press conferences, they all have a very ways around them that feels like they are very likable, not only to fans but media, and they're very nice people. As well, I just feel like the building towards the future, I said it before and I'll say it again, it feels the direction that Nets fans are now able to watch this team be successful. Oklahoma City, not trying to compare the same ones, but Oklahoma City at a point was called the black hole of the NBA because of how much they weren't winning games and they were losing a lot. But look where they've become because of because of their mentality and
dynasty
drafting
on the rise.
the drafting the young guys, because they were able to build and draft a lot of people and try things out. I think this is a try things out too.
Getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as a complimentary piece in a deal for your expiring contract superstar helps, for sure.
It's very different, but
definitely helps.
It's very different, but you can see that young stars is a direction that the NBA is moving to now, and if you can have one or two of these guys and then maybe draft more of them next year or acquire someone else in a trade, your success will start mounting very quickly. I feel like it's a rolling ball. It will start to pick up speed very fast.
Yeah. And I've said this for a long time, Alex. You can obviously attest for this as well. But I've always been under the impression that in sports, if you get the owner, the GM, and the coach right, that's the holy trinity. If you can somehow get those three correctly, you have an owner who cares and who wants to win. You have a GM who knows what he's doing and isn't too selfish and doesn't get too big for his bridges. And you have a head coach who can implement a culture and an identity with a team that is successful. Those three things. It's hard to be an unsuccessful organization if you have a good owner, a good GM, and a good coach. It's genuinely difficult to be poor. This Nets team has gotten it. Ever since Joe Tsai made the acquisition for this organization, the Holy Trinity, or ever since they made the signing of Jordy Fernandez as head coach, the Holy Trinity has been in place. Jordy, Sean Marks, and Joe Tsai. Obviously, Tsai runs the Liberty things as well and has been receiving praise for years about how he's handled the Liberty situation. Was the first guy to put them on charter planes as well. The Alibaba owner has a lot of money down there in China. But kind of just talking about that, I think Jordy Fernandez has done about as good of a job as you can do with the unit he was given. And with that Holy Trinity set up the way it is, I have to be optimistic for the future. Whether that means short-term success or not, I think, and I'll bring this to you, Alex, that Holy Trinity of owner, GM, and coach, so important for the identity and the culture of an organization.
Yeah, I think 100% that's the most important thing. But I think what I like about the group of them is how much I think this year will be prioritized about development. It's not about how many wins are they going to have. It's not about who plays the best. It's about does this rookie class become better each day? And I think that Jordy Fernandez is key to that. I think it's also about having an owner and a GM who lets the coach as opposed to having to have a say in everything that gets done. I think it'll be up to Jordy Fernandez to figure out what works best for this team, whether it's having the rookies all play together, whether it's mixing them in here and there, figuring out the minutes. But I think the biggest thing this season, especially with the three of them, is allowing for the development of this team. We know the Nets are not going to be the best team in the NBA this year. I hate to say it, but it's not going to happen. But if this team can continue to build and become a better team for next season, then that is the way that they are going. But development and those three are key to that.
Yeah, and that's an interesting perspective I haven't thought of. The long leash that sort of Sean and Joe have with their head coaches seem to hurt them with Steve Nash and Jacques Vaughn, guys that maybe didn't have the quality that Jordy Fernandez has. But last season you saw with a long leash with a guy like Jordy Fernandez, magic can happen. Jordy was... It was my favorite season it was my favorite coaching season any Nets head coach has ever had. He genuinely he made me fall in love with him and his coaching over the full season. Not only did we hang out at Oasis in the summer as well, that was also awesome, but just the mentality he brought to this organization, the seriousness he brought to this organization, the camaraderie he brought to this organization. In my 20 years closely following this team, there's been nothing that's even comparable to it. Kenny Atkinson is the one that I would say is comparable, but Jordy seems to be more focused on the future success. Kenny was very bogged down, and I think bogged down maybe is the wrong term, but he seemed bogged down by the rebuild. And Kenny's job was the rebuild in many respects. And when the rebuild was over and it was time to win, I don't know if that was Kenny. I don't know if it was maybe Kenny's expertise. I think it is Jordy's expertise, to be fair, especially with his work with the Canadian national team, his work in Denver. He's won a lot of basketball games. I said I brought up a slight quip earlier about the fans. I would like to get into that a little bit. I've done beat reporting the last 2 years. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time going to net games throughout my life. The last 2 years, the crowd is different. The crowd is, well, not net fans is what I'm sort of getting at. The crowd is very neutral. The crowd is very touristy. It's a very international crowd. You hear a lot of different languages walking around the concourse. That's obviously a plus. But there isn't a lot of true net fans walking around the concourse. There's not a lot of true Nets animosity. There's not true Nets hatred for the Knicks walking around the concourse. The things that I need walking around Brooklyn. This is where I think it'll change. This is a conversation that I've had for a very long time. I'm going to take it back all the way to 2012 when this team went to Brooklyn. They acquired Darren Williams their last year in New Jersey. They acquired Joe Johnson in the offseason. They traded for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett after their first year in Brooklyn. What they're doing right now in 2025 with Jordy Fernandez, Sean Marks, Jaeger Joman, Michael Porter Jr., this is what they should have done 14 years ago. A scrappy, young team that the surrounding Brooklyn society can get behind. That was the move in 2012. It was not to start competing when you get to Brooklyn. The Brooklyn surrounding cast and the surrounding environments would have banded together and gotten with a team that was young and scrappy and didn't win a lot of games, but they were exciting and they had a bright future ahead of them. The Nets now, after 14 years of maybe going and looking in the wrong direction, have now maybe gotten to where they should have been 14 years ago. And that's a young, likable, hungry team that is looking to have real success in the long term, looking toward the future. That to me is what will bring fans, what will connect the Brooklyn community, the New Jersey community, all the surrounding communities to this Net team. The Knicks have their own sort of identity right now. Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't know his role in the offense. We're all seeing that right now. The Knicks, like the Yankees, I think have a certain level of detachment when you like them. There's not a certain closeness that you may get with other teams when you're a Knicks fan or a Yankee fan. That sort of closeness, I think, is what is going to bring people toward the Nets this season and in the coming seasons. And I could see this Net fan base really growing in the next couple of years. It did in the KD era. It did in the Kyrie era. But I think more organically, more truly, it will grow in the next couple of years. And I'm excited for it, especially just to see it. Alex, you'll be there on Friday. I'm curious what that crowd will be like.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know, of course.
Thank you, of course. Appreciate it.
I think that this rookie class especially brings in new fans in general. You're going to get a little bit more international fans too, but I think you're seeing a new generation of Nets fans excited to be in Brooklyn. And I think that that's just going to make the crowd there even better. It's a little bit like the Liberty, once the Liberty brought people in that were exciting to be in New York, that wanted to be there. The crowd's basically doubled. Like, even though that was a little bit different because it was free agency, most of them, but it was still a similar way of there's people who want to be in Brooklyn and they're going to play for Brooklyn, and I think that brings in
Sabrina
fans.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she was the draft pick, but I think when you brought in like John Claude Jones and Breanna Stewart, like that was a whole another group of fans that come in, and I think that could be similar for the Nets. Is you're seeing these young guys who are super exciting, who have been very good in the media, have been very, or at least I think Brooklyn's social media has done a good job of trying to connect them to fans, and I think that's something that you'll begin to see. We're gonna see Barclays sold out, but it's whether or not all of these people are here to see the Nets, and I'm hoping that this season is different. I'm hoping that is the case.
And you didn't even mention it, but all these rookies, like you said, with their appeal, they all come from different places. Yeah. So Jaeger, he brings that sort of Eastern European audience, maybe that Asian audience as well. Ben Saraf brings that Israeli and Jewish American audience, which is very prevalent in the Nets organization already. Danny does something similar that even includes Jewish Americans who go to Big Ten schools, because there's a lot of those. A few of them are my friends. And then you even look at Drake Powell. It brings a more American feel to it. I'm a North Carolina fan, so that that brings in some sort of familiarity for me as well. There's something for everybody to love in this young organization. You're from Jersey, as I'm from Jersey. Such an underrated amount of Jersey Net fans still in Jersey. Yes. You don't really feel it or see it, but when the Knicks are losing to the Pacers in the playoffs and I'm at Bar Anticipation down on the shore and I have more people coming up to me talking about how they're a Net fan than more Knicks fans walking around the bar, that shows me that maybe there's some prevalence with Nets Nation in New Jersey still.
I think there still definitely is.
They're Net fans by you?
Yeah.
Are you just saying that?
No, there are. I just don't think that they had a reason to want to go to Brooklyn. I think now you're going to see that you're going to get more people from Jersey. It's not the easiest drive, but they're going to want to go.
We know. It's not.
They're going to want to go if they're going to see a team
20 minutes from Barclays Center.
All of us can't be you, Civil, Cozy.
Sorry.
Did you ever go to hockey at
Oh,
Barclays?
I did.
You?
I went to one Islanders game.
Bizarre,
at
right?
Barclays Center. It's weird. It's not a. It's a basketball arena.
Yeah.
For sure, a basketball arena. I think it would have been cool. Maybe if the not the Islanders, but maybe actually if the Islanders stayed at Barclays Center, it might have been a cool kind of thing. But it's not on Long Island.
Did
It's
I
not.
tell
It's
you
a different thing.
Story about that?
No.
When they first built the building in 2011, 2010, they were like, "Hey, Islanders, your building's really old. Do you want to come play here?" And they were like, "We will never play in Brooklyn." It's like, all right,
They played
well,
in Brooklyn for
we're
a
not
while.
going to make the building for hockey then. Okay, we're never going to play there. 3 years later. So Barclays, you guys still want us to play hockey there? Yeah, I mean the Jumbotron's going to be over the blue line, but sure, if you want to come play here, you can come play here. That's basically what happened from all intents and purposes. I have just some closing statements. I'm obviously very excited for this season. It should be fun. Also, have you ever seen anything that's not basketball at Barclays?
No.
Okay. I'm maybe seeing Tame Impala on the Monday after Halloween.
I saw Tame Impala there.
Very excited. Did you?
Yeah.
What was that, 3 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah. What did I say? I think I saw Tyler the night before. We've talked about this.
Yes, we
'cause I was
have.
going to go, and then I didn't. Nonetheless, Barclays, always a great time. We always love Barclays. Excited for the new food options this year as well. They always do a good job on the concourse. Nonetheless, back to the hardwood. There was a couple years, Kurt, where there's Ben Simmons jerseys getting peddled on the concourse, and the remnants.
Have one of those.
I do too. I thought about it. I do too. The remnants of that KD Kyrie era were still around, but it was quite possibly, I've seen a lot of them, quite possibly the most depressing era of Nets basketball. Now, not to say they've gotten better as a team, but the vibe and the sheer, I would say, what's the word? The filter on the situation just seems so much more positive. As we talked, I listed the 5 rookies. There's reasons to be excited for all of them. There's reasons to be excited for Jordy Fernandez, and there's reasons to be excited for the move Sean Marks has made. There's just excitement that radiates from this team. Not even to mention that if they're bad, maybe they'll get a good lottery pick, maybe add a superstar to this unit. But I think, I brought it up before the pod, it's very easy to think when hearing it's not about the wins and losses that that's loser mentality, or that's the mentality of people following or fans of a team that they know isn't going to be good and they're trying to get ahead of it. That can't be farther from the truth of this team. This team truly should not care about the wins and losses. As Alex said, progression is the name of the game this season. Progressing your players, progressing your unit, progressing your team identity. Those 3 things so important to this Net team. I've said for the last couple months, in 3 years, this Net team will be ready to compete for a championship. Not only compete, we compete for a championship. I don't know what that core will look like in 3 years, but I know that a few of the guys in this roster will be a part of that core. And just that alone has me excited for what this season will show. And just to watch this young team gain an appreciation for this team. Nolan Traore, a player I've been watching for 14 months, now a Brooklyn Net. Very excited about that. I just want to kind of just take it to you two guys. Just briefly and broadly, what's one thing you guys are excited for this season? Whether it's personally, obviously you're getting to do your first NBA season. That's something to be excited for. But the Net team as well, getting to maybe watch or getting to see this season. What's 1 or 2 things you guys are excited for? I'll start with you, Alex.
I think what's exciting for me is obviously this is my first year doing the NBA, but I'm excited to see a team that relies on their young guys and lets them learn. I think you're going to see mistakes. That's going to happen, but I think you could see a lot of these young guys become very good basketball players by the end of this season, and I think that is super exciting because you're not watching this team to see how many wins they have, but you're watching to see, again, who's developing, who might have that it factor, who do you think belongs in the league, and at the end of the day, see how they're gelling as a group. How well they do this year determines their moves for next season and beyond, but again, it's not about the wins, it's about seeing how well this team comes together, and I think that could be really exciting to see.
Yeah, and you briefly said it there, but the mentality of the fans and the players is not the same. Yeah. Fans may want to lose, but a lot of these players, especially on poor rosters, they want to make a roster. They're playing for their livelihoods from a lot of aspects. So the sort of mentality is obviously different. Kurt, going into your second season now as a beat reporter, you've followed this team for a very long time. Similarly to me, similarly to Alex, the progression is something to be excited for. But what else has you really excited about this team this season?
I'm excited to see what Jordy Fernandez does once again. I think I'm really excited to just see his vibe around this team. I'm excited to see what the vibes are around this team. I feel like they're a lot better than people think they are. I want to see what the ceiling looks like for this roster at the end of the day and what it's going to look like as the progression of the season happens. I'm also very excited for all 3 of us to start beat reporting once again. The NBA season is something very special. I I think it doesn't get as much love because it's so long, and the opening day always doesn't feel as exciting as maybe baseball does. But there's something different in the air when basketball's back, and it's very exciting to see what that's going to be like. And I'm very excited to do it with you guys.
And I would disagree, Kurt. I did Yankees opening day this year, but
Well, that's corporate. You've never been to City Field.
That first
opening day.
Kyrie game was that it was.
I remember.
It was just different.
But I'm saying
It was just different.
Yankee Stadium's a corporate stadium. If you go to City Field, it's a different vibe. Just saying.
Do the corporate stadiums stay open until October, and then the non-corporate ones close in September, or how does that work?
Yankees stayed open until October.
They did.
They stayed open.
They won a playoff series.
A little past October.
They won a
My
playoff
fault,
series
my
and
fault.
then won a game in the
Talking
next
about Nets
playoff series at
basketball,
home.
Talking about Nets basketball.
I brought up.
I'm just saying.
I'm the one who brought up.
I'm just saying.
Tell Juan I hope he enjoyed watching on the couch this postseason.
He's going to be enjoying watching Nets basketball this season, too.
And on the couch next postseason because the Mets won't make the playoffs again. Anyway, I don't like trending into these conversations during net conversations because then it makes me really upset and depressed if I start comparing, and I don't like to, so I won't. Nonetheless, I'm excited, as you guys said, the progression this season. Jordy, I'm very excited for. Similar to the transition Alex was talking about, I'm excited to see the fans start to really take a personal investment in this team, start to show up more, and that crowds start to get louder. Even at some stages last year, the D'Angelo Russell game winner, it was loud when they beat Houston, very loud, and that maybe wasn't a super pro-net crowd. It'll get better and better as this team progresses. Similar to your point, Steve Hetzel did the work for the Summer League team in the offseason. He's Jordy's head assistant. He kind of transitions this rookie class into the training they're going to be receiving from Jordy in training camp. Seems like training camp has gone well relatively so far. We'll kind of see how it all shakes out on Wednesday. Charlotte Hornets, another exciting team with about as many young players as you can possibly have. We'll see how that shakes out for them. Both teams looking for a lot of progression this season. We'll see how that starts out for both of them on Wednesday. Nets open their season in Charlotte Wednesday night. That one's at 7 p.m. It'll be Hornets and Nets. And then Friday night, Cleveland is in town, correct?
Yes.
Alex, it'll be Cavs and Nets, the Nets home opener Friday night, 7 p.m. Alex Diaz will be there covering the whole
7:30.
thing. Shout out the Twitter handle.
Alexander D22 2K5.
Follow there for analysis not only Friday, but all season long. Me, her, and Kurt Sipple will be on the covers for this season all season long. Hopefully get to all 41, maybe miss one or two, but hopefully try to get to as many as we can. For now, for the preseason preview, the 26-27 Brooklyn Nets WFUV Sports preseason preview, I want to thank, of course, my co-host, Alex Diaz, Kurt Sipple. For me, Chris Carino, very excited about this Nets season. Thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.